Hi, this is Bo with Focused Engagement. Today is Friday, which means we have another Focused Friday. Today I am on with Kelly Walker. She is a sales coach, a speak trainer. You know what, Kelly? You got me kind of confused with this word manifesting. So I'm going to let you explain what it is you do.
Okay, well, I am a coach, and I'm shifting a little bit because I started out coaching people how to manifest their goals, and then as I've done that, which is a really good tip for business owners, I think, as I've done that, I have found that my niche has shifted and narrowed, and so I went from manifesting in general to manifesting for your business, manifesting clients and money, and now I am more into manifesting, speaking, and sharing your message all over the world. So I've shifted a little bit. I could see how I could confuse you.
Yeah, I actually never heard of manifesting. I mean, I've heard manifest, I know the
What?
word, but tell me what you mean by manifesting.
Okay, so since I'm the queen of manifesting, my official definition is the best one. So here it is. You ready?
Okay.
Manifesting is the process by which you bring into your life a person, thing, or experience by focusing so much mental energy on it that your thoughts, words, and actions change to bring you in to the right place at the right time to meet the right people to make your goals happen. That's it.
Okay, that's powerful definition,
Thank you.
and it actually makes a lot more sense now. So now
Good.
I got to
Yes.
say, you say you're shifting a little bit. This isn't the only shift you've made. You told me a little bit about how you got into this business. So you mind sharing that?
Oh, I don't mind at all. So it's 2017 when this started. Um, I had been on antidepressants for 12 years because when I was pregnant, I had a horrible pregnancy, super high risk. I had claustrophobia. It was just crazy. And when I only had one pregnancy, so we're lucky we made it through. And when he came out, I got postpartum depression like off the charts. So they put me on all the drugs and they said, don't worry, you'll only be on these a few months. 12 months later, I'm now on the maximum dose of all of them. Nothing's working. I've become a total zombie and I'm I'm like not functioning, totally not functioning. And then January 2017, I got fired because it started to spill over into my job. So then I was like, well, I am of no use to anyone. Why am I even alive? I'm just wasting oxygen. And my depression got extremely, extremely severe. I was staying up all night to play video games, sleeping all day, avoiding my family, totally checked out of life. And I was like honestly trying to think of ways to justify not being in this world anymore, if
Oh
you know what
wow.
I mean. Yeah, it was super, super horrible, super depressed, super everything, really bad. And then I got an email, and this email invited me to this life changing 3 day seminar. And I was like, what? No, I don't get dressed. I don't get out of bed. I'm not leaving my house. But something inside of me said, you need to go to this. And I was like, okay, fine. So when the day came, I got out of bed and put on real clothes for the first time in a week, not pajamas. And I drove up to the Salt Palace and I went to this. I approached this doorway. It was just a room inside the Salt Palace. And like the wave of high vibration coming out of the doors almost knocked me over. Do you know what that feels like?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when your vibration is down here and you go to somewhere where they have vibrations like this, it's like getting hit by a truck.
Yeah.
And so I had no idea what was in store for me in that room, but everything changed that day. And it was 3 days. So it was cemented. By the end of that seminar, I was ready to start a new life. So I hired all the coaches. I took all the classes. By the end of the year, I had learned how to manifest pretty much everything I wanted. I'd already spoken once. I'd had another speaking engagement planned in January, and it was insane. Like my life did a complete 180 so fast. So 2017 for me was like a whirlwind, a tornado, a hurricane. And so now that's when the shift started. So now I've gone from training people on how to manifest what they want because I got so good at it. And then I started training people on building the business of their dreams because that's what I did. But I became a coach and a speaker and I started making money at it and helping other people. And so, I got a business license and everything. Like I did a full on coaching business. And then I started teaching people how to manifest clients and money. And then everybody was like, well, how are you speaking so often? How did you get in London? How did you speak in London? And I started hosting cruises. So then I spoke all through the Caribbean. And so I was like, maybe I need to teach speaking too. So I did. I've now also been teaching speaking. So I'm kind of, I'm still shifting. And I think I've found my niche because when I teach speaking, oh my gosh, I get so excited. I get kind of crazy excited. So I think I may have landed now, but I love teaching people how to get what they want. And most people that I know want to manifest something big that scares them. And I love helping them do it. And many of them just happen to also want to be speakers. So it just fits right in.
Oh, that's great. And I love that you said you found your niche because that's something that we talk a lot about is
Yes.
if you want to grow, if you want to scale your business, you really need to know what your niche is because you cannot be all things to all people. So by having that niche, you can really focus on what you're best at and you ultimately you can scale a lot better. So now I'm one of those that ask, how did you get speaking engagements in London?
Oh, so one of the things I did was I hired speaker trainers, like 5 of them, just boom, boom, boom in a row. So I did a whole year, and I did a couple before and a couple after. And one I did last year, she has a lot of speaking connections, and she met this guy from London who he's like the personal development guru in London. And so he holds regular events. And he told her that he was looking for some American speakers to spice things up. And so she told me about it. And I was like, oh, I really want to do that. Oh, but I'm really scared to do that. I don't want to go to London without my family. What if I get, well, I'll tell you that part in a minute. But I was super scared. So I decided to do it. And so I had an interview with him and he's like, oh yeah, you're awesome. Let's do this. So I ended up speaking there. And then the awesome thing is while I was there, 2 of the other speakers that are in London said, I think I manifested you for my event. Will you come back and speak at my event in February?
Oh, wow.
So while I was there, I booked 2 more speaking engagements. So in February, I went back and then COVID hit. Like I got out right before COVID hit. So that was really good timing. But yeah, that's how I ended up speaking in London 3 times now.
Wow. So where's the funnest places you've spoken?
Oh my gosh, the funnest places. Well, of course, speaking in London's amazing because, you get to go to London. But
Yeah.
probably the most epic other than London, like nothing compares to that. But when I was doing my year-long speaker training, I was under the impression, and I was told that I'd be speaking on their stage at the end of the year training. But before the end of my year, they completely rebranded. They changed everything, and they didn't speak on our topics anymore. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's like, I cried. Literally, I cried, although I cry easily. But I was heartbroken. And I got invited to speak a few months after that at a ladies networking meeting. And I didn't even ask where it was. I was like, sure, I'll speak there. It was my friend. I'll speak anywhere for her. So then right before it happened, I was like, oh, by the way, I should probably find out where it is. So I looked up the event And it was at that place where I'd been trained for a year, and it was on
Oh,
their stage. So I did end up speaking on that stage after all.
very
Totally
nice.
different circumstances, but man,
But
it
you got
was,
there.
I got there. I did it. It
Awesome.
was awesome.
Okay,
It's in
so
my
you say
book.
you niched down.
Yes.
So inside this niche that you have, how is it
Mhm.
you find uh, your customers? And what is your niche? What's your ideal customer?
So my ideal client, her name is Jennifer. She is about 40 to 50 years old. That's my only thing that's a range. Everything else is very specific. But the range, I have about a 10-year range. She is married. Her kids are grown, mostly out of the house. And now she has time to pursue her dreams. And she has a purpose in life that involves changing the world, making it a better place, and coaching and speaking in some
Okay.
capacity. So that's my ideal client. I have a lot of them, and they mostly find me on Facebook. Facebook
Oh,
is my magical source of clients. I use it very effectively. I actually have a book on how to use Facebook for your business.
nice.
Yeah, everything I learn, I write a little ebook about. So that's my
So
pattern. I
yeah.
figure it out, I do it, I make an ebook. So I have lots of ebooks. So yeah, and I have a Facebook group that I funnel people into, and then all of my paying clients come from my Facebook group at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you a little bit about. You say you spoke at a Mediterranean cruise. Was that a cruise that you put together, or you
A
just happened to
Caribbean.
be?
Yes. So oh, this is so, I love cruising. I used to want to live on a cruise ship. I don't know if I do anymore, but I did. I used to want to live on a cruise ship. And so I was like, okay, how could I work it out so that I'm going on a cruise every year and not having to pay for it and taking a bunch of friends with me so it's super fun? Well, I did. I manifested that. So I plan cruises with like an adventure or some kind of theme. So my first cruise was Mermaids and Manifesting. And so I bought mermaid tails for everyone that came. I hired an underwater photographer. And when we went to Cozumel it was a whole week long cruise. So one day we spent in Cozumel. I took everybody out to the ocean in Cozumel and they got underwater pictures in their mermaid outfits. And then during the day, we had presentations. And one of the days I spoke on manifesting. So, I just charged enough extra to pay my way and my husband's way and my son's way. And I took all these people, they got all this value. The photo shoot was incredible. And I fulfilled a lot of dreams with that
Wow.
cruise. And then I did another one in December for female business owners. And we did a mastermind. And on that one, I spoke on how to use Facebook to grow your business. And I have another one in October next year for people that want to be speakers. So
Oh,
every
wow.
year I just pick a theme and I have a cruise on the side because I love cruising.
There you
So
go.
that's how I
That's
spoke all through the Caribbean.
yeah. All right.
It
That works.
totally works.
Yeah. So, would you change anything about what you do now? I mean, you look through your journey, and it's been obviously a very interesting and difficult journey. It sounds like at points. If you can go back to even
Um,
before you started all this, would you change anything, or have you
ah,
enjoyed your journey?
I have mostly really enjoyed it. I think the only thing I would change is the mermaid thing because the mermaids were not my target audience and I didn't realize it. And the deeper I got into the mermaid, I had a mermaid store too. Like on the side, I had an e-commerce store for mermaid stuff. But the deeper I got into the whole mermaid thing, the more I realized they are not my target audience and they did not like me. Mermaids do not like me. So,
Okay.
yeah. So that if I could go back, although it did teach me a lot of stuff about ideal clients that I learned very thoroughly by experience. So maybe I wouldn't change that.
Yeah, and that's a hard lesson, but a very important lesson to learn. You've got to know who that ideal client is, because I like to say, if you don't know who your ideal client is and you're trying to market your business, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. You know, you're just hoping, you're guessing, you don't have, you really don't have a plan.
No,
You can't have a plan
forever.
if you don't know who your ideal customer is. It just
Right,
doesn't.
and it's frustrating, so you quit.
Yeah.
That's why people give up. I think number one reason is because they never find their ideal clients.
Yeah,
So
you know what?
get
You're probably
frustrated.
right. Because without that ideal client, you know, you're not only just trying to throw stuff at the wall to get it to stick, but you move around. You're like, well, maybe I'll try this, maybe I'll try this, maybe I'll try this, and nothing works. And yeah, you
Right.
get frustrated, you get tired, you get burnt out, and
That's rough.
it's unfortunate. It's amazing how important that first step. In fact, everybody I talk to is the first step. We call it a buyer persona. You've got to figure out who that ideal customer is. So I love that. That's part of your journey.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, huge. Kelly, I have to ask. I always ask if you if somebody came up to you and says, "Hey, I want to start a business," rather it's in coaching or anything in general. What advice would you give them besides find your ideal customer? We covered that pretty good. Hopefully that wasn't it. I just stole your thunder.
That one's super important. Okay, so I've been thinking about this, and here my number one advice. It's kind of long, but it's good. I'm going to give some details.
Okay.
Just take bold action. Okay, so that's the nutshell. Now let me explain. So taking bold action has been the number one thing that has moved me farther towards my goals than any other strategy or habit or mindset shift that I've tried. Taking bold action is terrifying. And you might not land where you wanted to, but it seems like there is a magical power in taking bold action. And it somehow fills in those gaps between your current knowledge, skills, resources, the gaps between that and our next big level up. And as a coach, especially now that I know what's going on, is I see people who wait until they feel like they know enough, or they've developed all their skills enough, or they've gathered enough resources to make that leap. And guess what happens? They never do it.
Yeah, they still get a little. Yeah. If
they
that's your excuse, you're still never going to do it. You're always going to find an excuse not to.
Exactly. Because that part of their journey where they feel safe enough never comes.
Yeah.
So they never reach that big level up in their business. They stay small. They struggle with money. They struggle with finding their clients. They struggle with getting visibility. And so my mantra for my business is, and this is the name of a book that I have not read, and I probably should, because I love this quote, is feel the fear and do it anyway. And every success I've had, like London, has been based on that principle. Feel the fear and do it anyway. When I decided to go to London, oh my gosh, I was terrified. And to make it worse, I made my decision and I bought my tickets on 9/11.
Oh.
So you can imagine the very specific fears running through my head. So in spite of being terrified, I decided this was what I needed to do. So I let myself have the breakdown. I let myself cry, snot cry. I mean, it was ugly cry. For hours. The day I left, I cried all morning long because I was that scared. But when I was done crying, I looked at it and I said, what do I really want? What I really want is to share my message with the world. And I want to get out there on a bigger and bigger scale. I want to shine my light brighter and brighter everywhere I go. I want to find other world changers. and inspire them too. So my purpose is bigger than my fear. And now anytime an opportunity comes along that requires bold action in spite of fear, I choose the bold action. And it's always worked out. It's always let me live my purpose at a higher level. So my number one advice is find the thing that you're most scared of, the thing that gives you the biggest rush of terror, and go that way. Do that.
Awesome. That is great advice. I'm actually
Thank
going to
you.
take that advice. I'll just
Good.
tell you from my standpoint, cold calling scares the heck out of me.
Oh,
And
it's
I
so
find
scary.
every excuse in the book not to do, just like you were saying, you know, I say, well,
worst.
okay, I'm going to create this piece of content. So when I call, I can say, hey, I'll send you this piece of content. Well, I
Right.
create that piece of content and I still don't do it. So
Nope.
I'm going to take that bold action. Starting
Yay!
next week. Today is Friday, right?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
yeah, so
Friday.
starting next week, I'm going to start taking that bold action. So
Good.
great advice.
I'm
Thank
proud
you
of
very
you.
much.
You're welcome.
So, Kelly, I'm going to let you say your number because I don't have my glasses on, and so I can't read it
Okay.
anyway. So if somebody wants to call you, how do they get a hold of you?
They can call me at 801-361-2417. 801-361-2417. Also, I'm really easy to find on Facebook. Just Kelly K. Walker. K is spelled out Kaye. And my website, The Queen of Manifesting, everything's there. I try to make it really easy for people to find me.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for this conversation. It's great for me. I learned something. I'm going to take some action on that, what I learned. And yeah, let's see if we can improve my business too. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend and a great Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you. You too.
It's going to look like I'm looking away from you. I'm just going to look over my screen so I can stop this. So
okay.
Right. Until next Friday. Let's see. Next Friday is. I think I still have somebody on the day after Thanksgiving. So until next Friday, you guys have a great day.